Wow. Um, from a point of view of what's the overlap between the term disability and epilepsy and vice versa, and does epilepsy is considered a disability or other way around?
1 in 4 people with intellectual disability will also have epilepsy. Epilepsy is a stand alone condition, is not considered a disability. However, if you speak to many people with epilepsy, they would beg to differ and say that their life is impacted in numerous ways on a day-to-day basis. People can be having tens of seizures a week. Other people, they may be seizure-free, but it doesn't mean the epilepsy is not impacting them. They have medication side effects. They are subject to stigma and discrimination, and that's stigma and discrimination is really alive and well in WA, I'm afraid to say, and we need to stamp out that stigma. And in terms of NDIS, it can be very difficult for people with epilepsy to actually get onto the NDIS because it's not classed as a disability. And how can a condition which we know that 1 in 2 people with epilepsy will have depression, we know that for people living with epilepsy, they experience a seizure-related injury at a rate of 1 in 10 per year. How can this complex condition not be considered a disability? And because it's not considered a disability, people find it very hard to get support from the NDIS. Some people do manage to, but it's often the comorbid conditions that are helping them to get that NDIS funding. But when they're so profoundly impacted, and a lot of people say actually it's the epilepsy that impacts them the most. And I have a niece, Sarah, who had a childhood stroke when she was 12 and she's now 22. And although she's partially paralysed and still lives with a range of impacts due to that paediatric stroke, she says the hardest thing in her life is her epilepsy. But that epilepsy is not a disability. I disagree. It is for many people.